do today. Picks and Bans game number 1. We're going to get things kicked off. And as per usual, check out the Ducky cam for the Valkyries.
Ducky's literally the mascot. Yeah, thank you for the full screen. What up, Ducky? Hope you have a good time in the Soul
Also,
Lane
rocking
today.
a Valks jersey. I actually think this might be the first time I've seen him in a Valks jersey.
Congratulations, Ducky. And if you guys want to support the Valkyries, you can buy that exact jersey.
Or a onesie.
Or a onesie at Insight Apparel. Look, I could do them too.
Do you know the website?
Shop.smiteproleague.com. Just head over there right now and pick up your SPL branded merch. Cthulhu and Kepri are going to be the first ones in the band column for the Jade Dragons.
Yes,
the
sir.
Valhalla Valkyries are going to take out Uhl and Geb. This has left a couple priority picks on the table. We've seen Set kind of fall by the wayside more so in this last couple of weeks, so I'm not going to count him amongst them, but certainly you could talk about this pick, Terra, who has been dominating the SPL. You've certainly got things like Yamoja, who has been able to establish pressure as well as late game sustain in the team fight. But I think even more importantly, we saw a lot of emphasis on Izanami in some of these sets yesterday.
Sorry, that is a nice looking jersey. I got a little
looks
distracted.
good.
Yeah, it does look good. Odin's the ban here to round out the top 3. You had mentioned it. Terra, Kepri, Cthulhu, a bunch of Guardians banned out by the Dragons, and the Uller, Geb, Odin. This is relevant to yesterday as well. Popular pick for Johnny specifically, Loki, is one that had won them a lot of games early on this year, won them some games more recently, and is a very popular ban versus the Valkyries, is available for him. And after what we saw Layers do yesterday, Loki can kind of pop off if necessary. Do you think that's something they go to?
I think the Valkyries, if they don't take Loki here, have to expect that the Jade Dragons have the potential to take it for themselves. It's a god that I'm sure Sanford Soccer is going to be comfortable playing. And I know there's a lot of discourse on Reddit and in the Twitch chat about Loki in general recently. Some people say, it's just a pocket pick. Some of these players like that style. Others do not. I think Loki is just strong. He's got good early game. He's got great scaling into the late game. The itemization really does favor him. If you want to go towards something like the Bumba Spear, all of a sudden you're going to be shredding objectives. The full Pentree with Heartseeker, you're going to be shredding gods as well. His 1v1 potential is incredibly high. His escape potential, incredibly high as well. So I think it makes perfect sense that the Valkyries go ahead and lock in that Loki and match it up with a Cerberus.
Yeah.
That is a pretty strong front line, good rooted AoE CC ability. The Stygian Torment going to do a lot up against what the Jade Dragons have already brought. I think this top 2 selection from the Valkyries is great.
And feels really good against the Yamoja as of right now. Nike gets locked in as a response from the Dragons alongside the Soul. Soul's been popular for Hurrywin, but this Nike, we've seen it in the last few weeks more in the solo lane. It feels like this should be fine okay just on history as of the last few weeks. But Sam likes playing Nike in the jungle. Do you think she still has those capabilities here in 8-10?
Yeah, a Nike jungle certainly works. If you want some early game pressure, the ability to dive towers like legitimately at level 5, Nike might be one of the best to do it just because 2 health bars means you can tank twice as many tower shots.
You can kind of do a lot.
Yeah, you can just do whatever you want, essentially, as long as your ultimate is available. But I think Final K's performance on Nike in the last month or so has been stellar. He has been a standout player for the Jade Dragons, hitting multi-man knockups, engaging team fights, phenomenal zone, great use of the shield wall. I think if anything, it could go to Sanford Soccer, but Jade Dragons fans and myself, I hope it doesn't. Final K looks so good on that pick.
The Valkyries seem to be on the same page as well. They ban out Izanami alongside the Nemesis, which is the target over towards Sam. It is the Sylvanas, the Oleron, who we've been seeing a lot more of lately, although not top 3 for either of these teams, as we saw a few times yesterday. Chang'e was the last lock-in before those bans for the Valkyries, something we had kind of glanced on and talked about just prior to this picks and ban phase, which is something that fits really well. Alongside it is Heimdall, and both of these have been picks the Valkyries have been going to. It's safety for Emilito, and it's something that, so far, that Zeros has been able to have some good performances on.
The Valkyries have very quickly really created a distinct style. If you cover up the names, and I know we say this occasionally, but this is a Valkyries draft.
Yeah, it is.
You're not thinking this is anybody else. Nobody else is playing Chang'e. Loki, almost synonymous with Johnny. And then Cerberus really is just Ducky's favorite pick because he's gone on record saying he just does not like playing the Odin. So I think that the Valkyries straight up have got a fighting chance here. It looks good. The cohesion in the team fight is great. You've got good CC abilities to burn beads and then additional CC abilities to make sure you're leveraging those burnt relics as well. Heimdall can be left alone on an island to just farm up throughout the early game. Loki and Chang'e bring a great fight core to the center of the map. If you want to, you can play around Cerberus in the solo because he's got decent 1v1 potential, but assuming this is going to be Nike, you don't really love your odds trying to shut her down unless she's leaping aggressively on the wave. So I think the Valkyries have got themselves a draft here that is really just looking to fight in the mid lane. Between Loki and Chang'e, it just feels like the second they tick over to level 5, what's Soul going to do besides use her ultimate for CC immunity or maybe lose out on some beads, assuming that this is Soul mid?
It's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. This is actually such a dynamic draft. I'm going to read some of the winning gods that the Valkyries have played this phase. Odin, you replace that with the Cerberus here. Sobek, Chang'e, Loki, Heimdall are all on that list. So Sobek seems like maybe the place Raffer's been wanting to go. Plus, I mean, look at all of the Guardian bids. Think of any meta god that
maybe
you could
Bacchus?
play right now. Bacchus was a hot highlight yesterday. And now with Serket Hachiman, do you think that that's something that they could go to?
Well, now that Serket has gotten locked in, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, you're literally never channeling the Belch. So Jingchen makes a little bit of sense, and it's something that Raph has gone towards a fair bit in the past. It's another form of AoE CC with the Washing Machine ultimate.
Haven't beaten anybody except for the Scarabs in Phase 3, and that was when the Scarabs were going through it. So this team has a very uphill battle coming into the group stages. But I actually think that this is a really good position for them to be in comparison to the traditional round robin. So in the traditional round robin, you would have to get top 6 in order to make it to the Phase 3 playoffs. And with their record, that was going to be very difficult. Now with how difficult Group A is, all they have to do is beat one team in a best of 5. And then hope that the pressure from losing to the Valkyries, because that does put immense pressure on you as a team, because now you have to run the table from here, maybe that pressure can make the difference for you. Look at the Camelot Kings yesterday. They lose to the Leviathans. Let's say they lose to the Valkyries. That means they have to beat the Dragons or they're out of Phase 3 playoffs. And that amount of extra pressure, I think, can be really beneficial to them. So with that in mind, going to something like the Loki Chang'e makes a lot of sense to me because it's something that is easy to win in scrappy engagements with, a little bit of healing, a little bit of burst CC coming out of the Chang'e. I love the blink right away for Zeros, though I think that Sam's going to be paying him a whole lot of attention because of it. I think that going for these more aggressive, less traditional options, more so the Chang'e I'm talking about than the Loki, but Johnny's Loki has shown that it's very strong, makes a lot of sense.
Oh, and no beads. Zeros is going to be dead to rights in mid lane. As you said, a nice quick rotation here from Sam for Soccer right in the mid lane. Picks up first blood. First blood for the Jade Dragons, excuse me. But looking at the rest of the board here, kind of looking across, seeing a couple things that pop up to my eye. We see a Sigil. Out of Fine OK. One of the first times we're seeing this item at all the entirety of this phase. I think up until this patch, this item has not been picked up at all. Gilded Arrow making its way back into the Hunter role here with Panda Cat. And then with the two supports, two different ones than the traditional Sentinel's Gift. We're seeing a little bit more of this benevolence coming out of Raffer, and even the War Flag popping up here for PBM.
Yeah, man, I got to come up my pick of the litter here, huh? Let's talk this War Flag first for PBM, though Zeros might be in trouble again in mid, though that time Sam doesn't find the Cobra's Kiss, and now it's Hurry in trouble?
Johnny, though, out of mana, can't continue that chase against Hurrywin. Now it's Sam who's got to run away. The damage out of Zeros and Johnny, not quite enough to take out Hurrywin, but putting some big pressure. Blink in by Zeros. Wants to try and get him, but that could have potentially spelled his doom and leap in for Sam. He's got to find the angle with the Cobra's Kiss if he wants that kill. Gets the double deathbang, gets the beads out of Johnny, but Stellar Burst just off the mark by Hurrywin. Needs another auto, but cannot find it.
Man, really, really aggressive play from Sam. You got to trust, after going 0 for 2 on the last shot, that you aren't just getting one, you have to get both with that Cobra's Kiss.
A popular pick.
It's just a little bit more aggressive than it used to be. You know, it used to be very, very defensive. Now it has a little bit more offensive capability. And again, it goes back to these upgrades being a little bit better. But I think that's actually going to be coming in the next patch overall, but still some more overall aggressive buff changes to that starter.
Sam picked out of his stealth. He's going to get picked up by Johnny, thrown right into the River's Rebuke. Is going to help him out, but not going to be enough. Johnny turns it around, and so does Hurrywin. Making a 1-for-1 trade. Raffer jukes out the stun, uses the ultimate, picks up Hurrywin, and gets the beads out of the mid laner. Zeros firing some poke right back at him, but Raffer just off the mark with the hook slam a little too early to catch Hurrywin. So he'll be able to walk out and make it a 1-for-1.
Insane passive where you just toss it 1-2, That's the thing about Lotus Crown and Umoja is that you don't have to worry about constant uptime with your two.
Johnny taunted in, has to use the beads to get away, but Final K and Sam have cut off his options. They're going to try and turn the fight back around, but again, Sam using his ultimate, not going to save his life, but just get some pressure back on Ducky. Final K leaps in, looking for Johnny. Johnny's trying to run. He's got a little bit more speed. The slow out of Ducky may have been just enough to save Johnny. He's going to go back towards the tower, but Final K read the call, but Johnny's got a tower as backup. Now Final K, no mana. Raffer's here. Raffer does have ult, but he's trying to close that gap to catch him out. Ducky's ult down, and it looks like they may not be able to catch Final K unless the stun from Ducky does connect. Whirlwind throws him against the wall, and Johnny turns it around for a 2-punch.
That was huge for Raffer's rotation, and Johnny is now off to a great start in this game. I mean, I think that Sam just getting the beads from Johnny should have been the, all right, we got what we wanted. You know, we don't need to chase any deeper against a Loki, but they fall for the bait. Johnny just goes to his teammates. So 200 health, so you get a little bit of tankiness there. You get all prots, and then you get 9% damage mitigation, is that you get 3% per stack. At 3 stacks, you double it, so you get 18% mitigation and 20% CDR, or CCR. That's a lot of stats to get for an item that really isn't that expensive. I love it on these Magical Hunters.
Anacat going for the 1v1. It's going to be an ultimate expended. Emil, though, he's going to lose out on the 1v1 happening right after as Sam rotates in and hits him with the full combo. A swift kill for the Jade Dragons on the enemy Hunter. And again, another red buff invade, a blink in by Zeros, but the ultimate whiffs, and Hurrywin can now try and turn back towards him instead. Vinyl K is rotated over. The River's Rebuke leaves Zeros trapped in with nowhere to go, surrounded by 4 of the Dragons. He'll try and get out, but the ultimate from his support is not going to be enough. Hurrywin puts him in the dirt with his own ultimate, and the Jade Dragons continue their onslaught through the jungle.
This left side of the map has just been absolutely dominant for the Dragons. I mean, it's a perfect bait by Panda Cat. Emilito knows he doesn't have beads, so when Panda Cat goes in, he's licking his lips. He's thinking, oh, this guy just trolled. I'm going to kill him for sure.
For the Valkyries this time around, will not be an aggressive invade on that buff. Instead, it'll be a Pyromancer started up by the Jade Dragons to try and further extend this gold lead, about 3,000 up, and this Pyromancer will make it just a little bit nicer. Jade Dragons get it, but Rapper goes in with a blink ultimate, finds 2, Supernova, deals a bit of damage right back to him. Ducky is here, has the ultimate, will find 1 just with the damage alone, and Final K with the Ren picks up and makes it a 1-for-1, but it's now Hurrywin in danger, does get into the separate, trying to get away, but Ducky leaps right on top, and there's nowhere for the mid laner to go. The lifesteal is not enough. Zeros and Ducky put him down. It's a double kill for the solo laner, but Final K returns the trade.
Both souls just eating so far in this team fight, but it looks like that should be it. Overall, a 2-for-2 with the Jade Dragons being the one to secure the Pyromancer, but it's a really good response with the Valkyries, and Raffer gets a good ultimate that the Dragons just don't respect enough. Both Final K and Sam had their beads, decide not to use them, and that puts them in a pretty bad spot. And typically you see the Circuit jungle building a little bit more hybrid, a little bit more defensive. As to where he's going with that silver breastplate.
Well, the balance plate out of Emil, it definitely means that crit will be delayed just a little bit longer, so we'll have to see where Sanford Soccer does go on that breastplate build. A Talon Trinket picked up, so a Typhon's Fang will be the next one on the list for Hurrywin, but the Oni Fury is the next one on the list for the entirety of the Jade Dragons. The Frenzy is popped, the ultimate is out by Raffer. The Fury does go to the Dragons, but Zeros is caught in the middle of everybody, uses the immunity, but goes right into the hands of Panda Cat. And Johnny goes to the back line and finds Sanford Soccer with the assassinate, but now Johnny has nowhere to go. He's got to run as quick as possible, but the Rend out of Final K has the distance and takes him out.
No one can answer Final K on this Nike right now. He's just doing too much for the Jade Dragons, and he doesn't look like he's taking any damage at all in these skirmishes. The Dragons just first to the Fury. They've got great DPS on it between a Hachiman, who, don't forget, does give an attack speed steroid to the rest of the team as well.
Raffer stunned by the EI Jutsu. Final K is here, and he'll smack him with the barrier, but they will not commit to that tier 2 tower, at least not to dive under it entirely without the minion wave there. Instead, they'll just be focusing on the damage on the tower itself. Ducky leaps in to PBM and Hurrywin. The ultimate comes out from Mike just to try and zone them out, but Ducky is there. The Riptide may have done even more harm than it did good as Emil picks him up with the basics. Final K does manage to find Raffer, but Hurrywin all alone under his tower has to use the Aegis to try and get away from Ducky and Emil, but Ducky eating so many tower shots, it might just be easy pickings for Sam and Hurrywin, but the Gallarhorn from a distance out of Emil will take down Hurrywin, and Sam, after a great dive, now has to back away.
This is exactly the type of game the Valkyries need to have up against the Dragons. These scrappy, why are we even fighting here sort of skirmishes, because that's where their composition is just.
And then the the item in question here out of Sanford Soccer, whether it was going to be the breastplate or the spectral armor. No, it's a contagion picked up by the jungler.
Love it. Get some anti-heal.
Hurry win, half health. A little bit of shielding there from PBM, but that's not going to be enough. It's going to be a quick dive in. Ultimate is good out of Mike to at least zone him away, but Johnny goes right into the back line.
Way.
Doesn't get hurry when he lives through the lifesteal. Is enough to keep him alive, but not for much longer. Whirlwind picks up one and throws Sam right into the back line. Panda Cat does pick up one of his own in the midst of the fight, and Raffer's got to run away, but Final K will chase him down, and Emil picks up Sam for just walking a little too far back to his own jungle. PBM throws out the Riptide, and Final K will close in the distance and let the Mystical Mail and a couple of other smacks take down Raffer, that HP 5, keeping him alive for just a little while longer.
But Fine eventually will, of course, find that kill, but it's another 2 for 2 with another kill going in for Johnny, but unfortunately for him also ends up taking that spill, so worth it for the Jade Dragons. Is Ducky now trying to contest?
Riptide hits Ducky. He gets leapt on, and he'll take a little bit of damage, have to walk away, but he does still have the spit. Throws it over the wall, but the Pyro is leashed a little too far. Jade Dragons, even after the scrappy 2 for 2 fight, do come up with a Pyromancer as their net trade. Now we get to see the little kill, the sneaky kill that Emil gets over Sam, just inside the back of his own tier 2 tower. Throws out the Galahorn and the sword just to clean up the kill. A nice little pick there by Emil.
Yeah, just can't back there if you're Sam. You know there's a Heimdall on the other team.
PBM on the opposite side of the board, and a full set of beads across the board on the Jade Dragons. Everybody a little worried about the CC that the Valkyries could put out, but it's the Primal Fury. Started up here by the Valkyries, and with Rapper and Ducky at the front line, not many people are going to be able to walk right through them.
That's a good front line from the Valkyries. Their DPS on this objective is actually horrendous. It's just not good. Heimdall not good at doing objectives. Chunga horrendous at it. In comparison to the Jade Dragons with a Frenzy and a Soul and a Hachiman with crit, it is not close which team does more pressure to these objectives.
Primal down to half. Rapper goes in, finds Panda Cat, stunned by Ducky. He does find the Hunter, gets the beads out of him and the beads out of Hurry right afterwards. Primal Fury does get leashed. That's because Final K's in the backline harassing everybody. And with Johnny here, Panda Cat in danger, has to go up on the horse, but runs right into the wall. The banner drops down. But the extra lifesteal and the healing out of PBM and the lifesteal of his own is keeping him alive. Zeros goes in with the Blink ultimate, but only finds one out of it. Because of it, he's going to fall down as Sanford Soccer rotates into the fight. Emil used the Bifrost to get out, and Rapper has nowhere left to go as Sam closes the gap, picks up a double kill, and makes it a 3, now 4 for 0.
Brutal for the Valkyries. They were in such a good spot. They're even 21 minutes in. Their comp is scaling. Johnny's got this massive lead. And right when you think it's going to be working for them, the Jade Dragons backline just plays a fight perfectly. Panda Cat, just perfect use of his relics, perfect use of his positioning. Whirlwind peeling for him perfectly. Mike coming back to peel for him perfectly. The Jade Dragons just have a moment of flawless execution.
All on Ducky to try and stop this fire giant. He picks up just about everybody, but he's stuck in the middle of everybody because of that. Sam getting low there. One more hit from the FG would have taken him down, but instead it's a full 5-man fire giant for the Jade Dragons. Jade, they don't lose a single player. Nearly full deicide, a late deicide, just because Ducky walks in to try and stop that fire giant. What does these Phoenix defenses look like for the Valhalla Valkyries in comparison?
I got bad news for you, J-Mac. It's not looking great because they don't have a mage who's very good at clearing waves. Chunga needs to be melee range up against these waves, and melee range means you're within blink range, which means you're within death range. So it's not a great prospect here for the Valkyries. Heimdall's okay. They're clearing the waves. He doesn't have Odysseus Bow, which is one of the things that really helped hunters in those metas.
Tier 2 tower start up, Johnny on the backside, but it may have just been barely spotted out by a ward. Blink in by Rapper, goes for the ultimate, but only finds Mike, gets the beads, and Sam has spotted out Johnny. Riptide keeps punching Ducky back and forth between it, and Zeros gets caught inside the rivers, as does Rapper. He'll go down to Panda Cat, and Sam, losing this 1v1 trade against Johnny, barely manages to squeak out, and Final K will make sure to zone Johnny away and try and keep him out. He may just even be going for the kill, while Polar Bear and Mike just keeps their hunter busy, as does Final K with Johnny.
Johnny just going for a walk right now with Final K because he's taking him around the jungle. Will be able to get his back off, but too little too late to defend this Phoenix at the very least.
Mid lane Phoenix does not stand a chance of surviving here up against the Jade Dragons. It's Ducky and Johnny, the only ones left for the defense up against the Titan. They got a full strong of 5 from the Dragons to try and stop them out. Ultimate from Ducky finds a couple. Panda Cat down to half, but Johnny does not make it out. Panda turns him around with the crits, and Ducky does not have enough defense to stop the full might of the Jade Dragons. Game number 1, He's going to go to the boys in green.
Look, I mean, 5 minutes ago was right when that Gold Fury was getting pulled. You had that feeling like...
Dragons very quickly established about a 3,000 gold lead, and it stagnated at 3,000 gold for a fair bit of time. Let's see if it actually is here. Yeah, we're sitting at that 3,000 gold. Look at that!
Hey,
did my
that's
job.
11 minutes.
11 minutes in, and if we go to like, I don't know, 16 minutes in, is it still 3,000 gold? It is! Wow!
Look at that, and exactly 16 minutes in, actually.
Yeah, that is... Wow, I promise you I got lucky here, chat. Anyway.
No, you're just really good at your job.
Appreciate it. The Valhalla Valkyries had some fight back. Their team fight wasn't looking awful. Specifically, a bright point was Johnny on this Loki, who was very easily able to close gap into the back line a couple of times. Even, I believe, shuts down Panda Cat here. Nope, it's the healing. That's what Aggro screamed healing, by the way. Can't keep up that roll. But despite having a couple of good team fights, having a couple of good kind of objective contentions, it just felt like the Valhalla Valkyries were never the ones on their own footing. They weren't able to just play their own style as they had so hoped. I think that, if anything, they shouldn't be deterred. I saw enough from this game to put merit into their draft. The Loki, the Chang'e, everything adds up. If anything, I think the only shift I would expect to see from the Valks is potentially put Raffer on a pick that can facilitate the early game aggression a little bit more so. Sure, Jing-Chen can close gaps. Sure, he does a little bit of damage, but he's not doing like Ymir stuff. He's not a Geb. He's not giving you that safety net to allow Johnny to flourish like he wants to.
And an undying game, 25k damage, 6-0 and 8 for Panda Cat. Can't be having that if you're looking for a win. 7k damage, just a 1k under Mike there for Raffer. Maybe not as big as you had said. During some of the team fights, most of the fight back we saw was Johnny Zeros. Maybe a little bit wanting left there. We'll say that. Picks and Bans game number 2, and we'll see what the Dragons opt to do there. Pick number 1 here. The Valkyries will remain second pick for this one. Cthulhu, Khepri, Terra were the bans from the Dragons last time around, and it was Ullr, Geb, and Odin for the Valkyries as the top 3 bans. With that Yemoja first pick, Mike was kind of a menace, always is a menace on this pick. Wouldn't be surprised if they just tried to go back to it.
Yeah, the Jade Dragons find themselves in a very similar position yet again. And it's not on the Jade Dragons to really make any adaptations. That onus belongs to the Valhalla Valkyries, considering they are the ones who fell down in Game 1. So far, bans looking largely the same. Geb, Ullr from the Valks, Cthulhu, and Khepri on the other side. Maybe we see the Valkyries address that Yemoja. That healing in the late game really did do a lot to slow down some of these engages from Johnny. Went in multiple times and was not able to do it. But first adaptation, that's Loki ban. Jade Dragons say, hey, if there's one silver shining light, might as well just snuff it out.
And you know what? Just like that, it's easy. Does leave Terra open and available. Last time this was an Odin for the Valkyries. Yemoja's still available, and as just mentioned, Terra now on the board. Something that we have seen actually often from Raffer, and considering how she's jumped into the meta, might be a good pickup for the Valkyries.
I think the Jade Dragons just take it, right? Like, Terra's so good right now.
Over the Yemoja even.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
I think Terra just brings that much to your team fight. It seems like the Jade Dragons also agree. You're not bringing the same level of healing to your sustain in lane, but your CC lockdown a little bit more consistent.
Your walls are a little shorter than a River's Rebuke.
Yeah, a little smaller,
But you
but
still
you know,
got walls.
functionally the same. You know, 2 of them even.
And you can collapse them at will.
Yeah. Is Terra's 2 just better? River's Rebuke?
Yo, wait, let's upload, let's go on that train of thought and then upload this to YouTube with that title.
In all caps.
All caps.
Question mark, exclamation point, question mark. Everybody's clicking that. Anyway, Terra, Earthen Fury, I think, is the main reason you go for this pick. Not only giving your team additional burst healing, but also giving the enemies a little bit of damage on the tail end of a lot of these engagements. But the Valkyries, they want to be the Jade Dragons.
Yeah, Nike's Soul gets locked in here. Again, Nike has been much more popular. I cannot believe my
I called
eyes.
that a Deskago.
You called that a Deskago, and I so firmly did not believe in the Gilgamesh. Wow.
You want
okay.
You want to know a secret? I go on dog walks with their coach.
Oh. You know what? That makes sense. You also... Doesn't Kabam go to pickleball?
He does.
I wish I could. My ankle still hurts.
Oh, no. Morgan locked in here by the Jade Dragons. So let's get a little rundown of what they've got in their top 3. Terra, Gilgamesh, and the Morrigan. That is strong front line. It's great scaling into the late game. You've got team fight presence on your own just from Terra. And space control as well. Terra going to lock down entire jungle pass, their third ability. Wins a Shamash from Gilgamesh, going to do the exact same thing. but maybe Gilgamesh struggles a little bit trying to confirm some of these kills up against gods like Nike, who's got the additional health bar, or Soul with the Saporate. Sure, wins a smash good. Sure, dropkick good as well, but I think he's going to struggle a little bit closing gap on some of these picks already.
Now, some of these warriors we've seen, Nike was being played in the jungle, has shifted over to solo lane. Do you think Gilgamesh falls in the same category? I mean, it feels like his kit is just made for the jungle.
I think so. I think Gilgamesh is just a jungler. There was a brief period where the Jade Dragons back in Phase 2, I believe, took Gilgamesh into the solo lane for fine okay.
I think Ducky's even done it a couple
Ducky's
times.
done it a couple times as well, but it's not inspiring in that role for me. The second you get wins of Shamash, you want to get involved in these team fights. You want to be able to utilize that CC lockdown before a lot of these defensive relics become available to the enemy's team. And dropkick is just a jungle ability. I mean, when I think, what do I want when I gank? Like a 1.5 second stun at level 1 and a dislocation tool as well. Probably pretty good. That's about as far up there as you could hope for. The Valkyries do round out their top 3 picks with the Ganesh lock-in. Decent silence. Some targets on the other side going to struggle up against it. Terra very telegraphed in her dashes. Means that
I love that dog.
if you set up the monolith, you can just silence it out. That is a good pup.
That is such a...
Look at him go.
I love Huskies, so that is, like, hands down already brilliant. Plus, look, you get Ducky plus a great dog. Look, this is fan service.
Yeah, we're
this
zooming.
This is Smite fan service.
Yeah, zoom it some more. Now enhance.
I would like to see the pixels all, like, it upgrades to 4K.
Imagine if we had that capability.
That'd be pretty neat.
NASA would have to ask us. Enhancing
they'd be coming to
shots
us.
doesn't exist, by the way, chat. That's fake. Zoom enhance doesn't exist. That is a fabrication.
Yeah, this is completely side tangential. There are websites where, like, it'll double and, like, try to pixel color match, but it's not the
that's
same.
cool.
It's not, it does a decent enough job, but it's nowhere near what it is. Hey, it's Cerberus, Serket, Daji, and Susano, the bans for these teams. A lot of jungle priority. Chang'e gets locked in. The Ganesh feels like a Raffer pick. Chang'e feels like a Zero's pick. Last pick is more than likely going to be going to Johnny. This Soul, at this point, I'm going to assume, and guess correctly, is going to Imolito. And this Nike is something that we haven't seen as often, but we know that Ducky is capable of causing some trouble over there in the solo lane. Do you like those top 2 picks meshing with the rest of the Valkyrie style?
It's interesting. I think that the individual picks themselves are all they're incredible. Like they're great picks in of themselves, but maybe as far as full team cohesion, my concern is where is the majority of your physical damage coming from? If this is Nike headed for the solo lane, likely going to be a whole lot of defense stacked up in the early, which means that Johnny out of the jungle is going to have to carry a lot of weight for his team. And we're also lacking in confirmable hard CC, I'd say, on this Valkyries draft. You've got Ganesh's knock up off the dash. Sure, you've got Chang'e's ultimate as well, but outside of that, it's slows, maybe a knock up from Nike, some more slows from Nike. I think we need just a little bit more for the Valkyries to just have something to burn these beads consistently, or at least make use of beads that have already been burned. What comes to mind was not set. That's the opposite of what I was talking about. I was thinking like a Hunbots or something like that.
I think that so far she's looked very good. I've been impressed with what she's brought to the table. I'm excited to see what Panicat's going to be able to do on her this game. And he's got meditation. Hey, you know what? I was just saying, they don't have a lot of pressure on your beads. Look at Heroin, Aegis, Panicat with the meditation. I don't hate it. I really don't.
I need to see if this is in that guide real quick. You know, we'll go ahead and take a look here. I'll kind of browse through it as we go through. I need to know if this meditation is in that guide that basically linked to him. But it's J-Mac, Aggro, and Doug here in game number 2 with the Jade Dragons and the Valkyries. Meditation, we could talk our ears off about the fact that he's got meditation to try and get some of that extra sustain. We got the Gilgamesh Jungle coming back here, a god that kind of fell off when the Assassin patch came out here with 8.9, even an 8.10. Haven't really seen him all that much as of yet. And then that mid lane, the god that's been banned away by pretty much everybody for pretty much every reason under the sun, the Morrigan, was able to somehow sneak through this draft.
And Hurry has a ton of good transforms. Like, a ton. Maybe might get overwhelmed by the options. There's so many good ones. I mean, you've got Terra, which is a great late game option. You've got Set, which is a great early to mid game option. You've got Nike, which is good all the time. You've got Gilgamesh, which is good all the time. I don't know if Hurry's going to be switching a lot. I think this, absolutely picture perfect Morrigan play almost always does mean that you're changing your transformation based on the situation every single time, but these gods are so similar in what they do and so good at what they do that I feel like Hurry almost can't go wrong.
PBM gets caught out walking through the jungle. He'll throw up his walls just as an extra safety net in case Raffer and Emil dove onto him in the midst of that jungle little skirmish there. But PBM does get a walk away. Panicat, well, not much he could have done to really prevent much there. Hurrywin gets a stun on Johnny, a blink in by Sam for Soccer. Needs a couple more shots, a drop kick beads out, but that's not going to be enough to save Johnny. First blood goes over to the Dragons.
And that's the problem with Set, is that you just don't get your escape until level 3. You always end up with Skewer first, Clone second. So I think that's really just a matter of you can't step up if we don't know where Sam is, and even if we do know where Sam is, we probably shouldn't. And even if we then get caught, not worth it to use the beads. I guess he was like a creep off of 3, it looks like, so maybe he was hoping that Zeros could kill a minion he could transport to the clone that he already put on the tier 1 tower line. I guess that was the game plan, but now he has no beads, and the Jade Dragons are not suffering from the same problems as the Valks. They've got good CC.
One of the big benefits that this Cryptus does have, we'll have to hold that, as Emil in danger has to use the beads and trying to use the minions to help himself out, but those piercing shots out of Panicat do manage to squeak by a couple of them. It's almost a minute before that one fades away, and then you got to hit it again to go ahead and refresh it. We saw one attempt of a big play at the yesterday. Didn't quite go so well. Curious to see how many more chances we do get to see out of a play like that. But Hurrywin needs a quick play to get a mid, a fast transformation, and on what, 1 health this man just gets to walk out?
Yeah, that just can't happen. I think I saw an auto attack miss from Johnny or something like that, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. He just can't live if you execute that combo properly. But hey, at least they make it happen. At least they're aggressive.
Sampling into the back line, the winds drop down, Rapper's caught out, uses Dark Pillars, but Panda catches him with the stun while Sam grabs Zeros. Panicat continuing to run down Rapper, peppering his mini autos, but the ultimate out of Emil may have just saved the life of his support, but it may have cost him his own. Uses the Disapparate, and PBM is waiting for once he drops right out of that. A stun gets the beads out of from the Hunter, and Emil and Rapper both get to live to see another day. Rapper may have stuck around a little too long there, but Panicat doesn't quite have the damage to close it out.
I actually like it. I think Talisman of Energy is just an underrated item in general, and kind of lets you group and be aggressive around these minion waves, and there's a lot of magical damage here for the Valks.
Zeros has to use the immunity, but a quick turnaround in 180 ult with no beads means that engagement is stopped dead in its tracks. Sam will jump back over the wall and leaves Hurrywin by his lonesome with PBM to only help him out. Continuing to chase down, stun is good, and Sam comes back right out of the mid-Heartbeat camp to put down Johnny. Another kill up for the Dragons. And a 2,000 plus gold lead now starting to amass here for the boys in green.
So one of the things that makes Set really hard to deal with in the early game is that everyone has beads, so they can't just immune his ult. In this situation, when you haven't forced the enemy team to get beads, and they can just Aegis your ult, it's really easy for them to just collapse on you and insta-kill you after the fact. And I like the idea from Johnny on the pre-beads, but it was Mike CC that threatens it. Hurrywin still has his stun right afterwards, the deadly aspects, and he's just able to use it easily to set up for a cleanup kill there on the dive.
Panicat showing off the quick reflexes with the Whirlpool. Raffer gets caught out trying to walk into the lane, rooted out, and body blocked to all eternity. Nowhere for him to go. The leap out of Sam will close the distance and close out the rest of his health bar. Now 4 up for the Dragons, and a Pyromancer started by Sam and Hurrywin to try and get some extra gold.
Listen, Sam wasn't playing a whole lot of Gilgamesh whenever everyone else was playing Gilgamesh because he was waiting to pull it out until the right moment. He has all 4 kills for the Jade Dragons 10.5 minutes in. 4-0 for him. No other player has drawn blood yet in this game. And he's in a great position to keep this ball rolling because he's using his base damage. He's got a good defensive option in the Talisman.
Zeros a blink ult onto Hurrywin under the tower, and that's a quick and easy execute for the Valhalla Valkyries. Get their first kill on the board. PBM body blocking Johnny and buying time as Sam for Soccer rotates right back in the lane, drops the wins, and gets the kill. A 1-for-1 trade here.
Yeah, hey, it's still a good play from the Valkyries. Get themselves on the board. Sam gets another kill, so all of the eggs are in the Sam for Soccer basket right now for the Dragons. That's both good and a bad thing for one player to have all of your kills because it's easy to shut them down, but it means they're going to be able to do an awful lot in these team fights. Think that you look at the way that the Valkyries are playing, and I think through the first 8 minutes or so, they were much too passive around how their composition works.
To steal away the red buff. Had to use the entirety of the kit, not going that full damage build on the Ganesh, and rightfully so, you are playing support role, so it takes him a little while before he can fully clear out that buff, but he does steal it away, and I'm not even sure if they walked over and dropped that last minion,
They
but
didn't.
we'll hold that for a moment because Emil and Rapper again under siege, but no wins up for Sam just yet, so not much threat to be had against Rapper and Emil. They'll be able to walk away cleanly, but Sam already level 13 on this Gilgamesh. He did go back and pick up beads for his second relic, so now he finally has an answer to Zeros' ultimate. And he goes in these mid lane skirmishes with PBM rotating over. Emily2 jumped on, but his Sapray makes sure to get him out of the drop kick, and Raph for a quick dash under the tower gets him out.
But Hurry's in trouble. This time he's going to get his transformation off and start to return a little bit of that damage. Actually forces Zeros to use the 2, and that maybe opens up fine.
Fine, okay, blinking in, a stun onto Zeros. The execute is available, but he's not going to use it to dive under that tower. Instead, he'll just maybe go for the TKO or set up for Sam to grab that kill. Even PBM rotating to the backside of the tower. Johnny does squeak past the walls and uses the Sandstorm to teleport away. Tier 1 tower now under threat by PBM and Sam, but they're not going to stick around to take this one. Instead, it's Panda Cat now on the left side, dealing with 2 players all by his lonesome that are coming out, namely that Winds of Shamash that Sam keeps dropping right on top of their heads every single time that these fights go through. Even that tidal wave that Panda Cat does throw on that second ability has a little bit of a slow to its name. But again, kind of teasing towards the Gold Fury, but no team really wanting to commit to pulling it just yet. Instead, it'll just be a battle of the wards when, well, the ward war this time comes out to Raffer's favor. Well, never mind.
Yeah, Mike's got one in the hand, so he's going to be A-okay. Surprised at the Sunder pickup from Raffer in this game. No Onk for the Valkyries, which against Terra is kind of a cardinal sin.
Polar Bear Mike in danger, but now Sam is here. The pillars drop down from Rapper to hold him in place, but Sam isn't held for very long. He'll dive right to the back at Zeros, drops the winds, and Zeros has to use the bead so he doesn't get knocked right back in, but the drop kick slams him against the wall and puts him down while Fine OK takes care of Ducky on the backside. Hurry Win lives, but not for much longer. Ducky picks him up. The maul used by Panda Cat just for some movement for the CC immunity. Will throw it out, but not connect on the stun. Ducky leaps away, and all the while it's still a 2v2 on the backside of the fight. The Supernova is good. The minions are going to force the Aegis out of Emilitu from the drop kick, but PBM and Sam, they are not giving up on this chase until Emil gets all the way to the backline. But here's Fine OK with the blink stun for the kill.
Clean up kill, and now Ducky trying to do the same, but Sam still has that hero's leap available, and the Valkyries are going to have to limp away with only their front line left standing. That 2v2 dive, just so good from Sam and Mike. I mean, 6-0 for this Gilgamesh is going to make it hard to live against him basically no matter what. It was good work from Johnny and Ducky to at least get Whirlwind, but the peel there from Fine OK and Panda Cat's survivability on this Charybdis just proved to be a little bit too much.
The agility out of PBM alongside the fully upgraded Cursed Donk. Trying to answer against some of the healing that Zeros and even just some of that self-sustain. Really, you kind of, I'll be honest, I sometimes completely forget that Set's got some of it in his ultimate. Rapper's going to need some help because he gets stunned out right at the mid camps. A dash through by PBM and a leap in by Sam. With the winds dropping down, that'll make sure to get the kill up against Rapper. Now Johnny's stuck in the middle of 2, and he's losing health fast. Hurrywin transforms into Fine OK. Is able to get a nice little turnaround kill for them. Now Ducky's stuck in the middle of 3, tries to leap away as quickly as he can, but it's Panda Cat and Zeros all alone in mid lane. Well, that one's going Zeros, and an Aegis out of Emil saves him from the execute out of Fine OK.
And now Ducky now caught in between the entirety of the Dragons. Whirlwind notches his second, and the Dragons continue their absolute dominance here in game number 2. This should be a mid-Phoenix for them. And this Terra-Gilgamesh combo, just so hard to get away from. They have so much CC, they've got such great mobility, and then their ultimate just works so well together.
Emil walks up, uses the ultimate, uses the Sapray, tries to walk out the door, but there's no escape except for death itself. PBM gets the final hit, and Sam kicks Rapper against the wall so that way they can pick up the mid lane. Phoenix, Jade Dragons, up 11,000 gold now here, 21 minutes in. This lead ever spiraling out of control, and the Valhalla Valkyries are struggling to get back in these fights.
And they just don't have the answer when it comes to this team fight sustain, because there's a Terra, there is an opportunity for a second Terra on the side of the Dragons if that's where Whirlwind wants to go with a transformation, and a meditation from Panda Cat, and there is one piece of anti-heal. It's Divine Ruin there for Zeros. And look, I know it's 3 anti-heals as well, so whoever he hits with the 3 is getting 90% anti-heal. He's hitting like one person ever with that. Just a gross underinvestment into the anti-heal here for the Valkyries. And healing comps, we talk about them a lot. I wouldn't even describe this as a healing composition for the Dragons, but they have a lot of healing in the team fight. Healing from ahead is impossible to deal with. Still have to be close in order to clear the wave on Soul. You have that survivability, but don't love being where you'd have to be in order to actually clear the wave.
Fine, okay. Bullying just Johnny and Ducky by himself, while the rest of his team takes the Fury and takes the Tier 2 and left. Still 2 minutes left on this power play with the Fire Giant. The Dragons are going to start by stripping away another Phoenix. This one has no chance of walking up. And there's no chance for the Valkyries. Rapper gets kicked against the wall and has to dash away quickly, but Final K is in the backline all by himself while Ducky and Zeros try to deal with Hurry when the pillars drop down, but it's not enough to save Zeros. Ducky trying to fight against 3, but it's Final K with a double kill all on his own. Immediate turnaround. The drop kick is good. It's a triple kill out of Final K, but Sanford Soccer steals one away to make it 4 in the fight. Final K trying to deal with just Johnny by himself, and the rest of the team can walk right into the throne room and take the Titan for game 2.
All right, now game 1, you know, the Valkyries were doing good stuff. I was like, uh-oh, are the Dragons not going to show up today and have one of their sleepy days? Seems like the answer to that is no. The Jade Dragons have awoken in game number 2. They make it look easy. I mean,
it feels like there's a couple of fights where the Valkyries are definitely giving them a little bit more trouble, but this one got out of hand a lot faster than game number 1.
It did. The Jade Dragons pull control early and do not slow down at any point. There was no middling 3,000 lead for 10 entire minutes. It was, all right, we're up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000. Oh, the Titan fell. And it's essentially the entirety of the story. The Valhalla Valkyries did not have a whole lot of fight back here. And I think probably due in large part to the lack of CC in their composition. The ease of play of what the Valhalla Valkyries brought here is not there. It's not easy to play a comp like this. It's, okay, are we being perfect with our 3 knockups? No. Oh, I guess they all have beats, or we're just not finding too many AoE CCs, so we're getting run over. The damage output from the Jade Dragons is a little too high. With a composition like the Valhalla Valkyries had, we brought it up on the desk originally, if you're not pulling a lead, you're probably not winning team fights.
And they didn't pull the lead, so they didn't win any team fights. You can see that here. 2 kills is what they ended it with. Final K had a stellar. We've been spending a lot of time talking about the jungles and solos the last 2 days, and admittedly, for good reason. Look at that, 13-0 combined KD between Final K and Sam for Soccer. Plus, what is that? Yeah, 10 assists between the two of them. I mean, you have 2 deaths onto Herowind, and playing the Morgan, very easy to rack up some of those deaths. I think Panda Cat, we had highlighted it before that game, straight up tweeted out, I need a guide for Charybdis.
Yeah, he doesn't, by the way.
Yeah, no, he played just fine, as it turns out. It just feels like this was a game that they were, I don't want to say destined to win, but they definitely put themselves in the right position to do so very early on.
I think so as well.
Pick some bans here for game number 3 and see exactly what kind of adaptations the Valkyries can make. Maybe see if the Dragons Changeling Cthulhu, Khepri have been the consistencies of their top 2 bans. And admittedly, Cthulhu's been a pain in the side for a lot of people. Still going to be the #1 ban here for the Dragons. And it feels like just a few weeks ago the Titans played him after such a long hiatus of no Cthulhu, and now everyone is kind of freshly reminded, yo, we hate playing against this dude.
Yeah, anytime the Titans bring out anything, I open up the pro Discord just to see what everyone else is saying, and it's literally every team.
Why?
Cringe, the Titans are lame. And that's honestly a pretty strong facet of their gameplay. If you're able to make everybody that uncomfortable that they're going to be vocal about it, means you're probably doing something right, as are the Jade Dragons, by reprising their bans that have net them 2 wins so far. It is Cthulhu and Khepri in the first slot. Valkyries continually targeting out this Uhl. We'll see. I expect the Jade Dragons to keep up that Loki ban. I'm not expecting a shift up there. But I am expecting the Valkyries to try to address this Terra, who did 9,600 damage, by the way. I believe PBM actually out-damaged Hurrywin throughout that game.
And it's a lot that you have to deal with when Terra's on the board. It was the ban for the Dragons in game number 1 that Loki replaced in game 2, and Loki's here again. This is the same 3 bans the Valkyries have been running with the entire set, which makes things maybe a little more complicated, because guess what? Terra, that thing you were just talking about and saying, still available, locked in pretty easily. Looked good for PBM, feels good for the Dragons.
You know what? I'm going to make a blanket statement for the entirety of group stages.
Okay.
I am pretty confident if Terra is open and Cthulhu is already banned, first pick is always going to take Terra. I think Cthulhu is the only god that is going to get prioritized over this pick this weekend and next weekend.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't have said that. I mean, like, what do I gain from this? But that's the vibe I'm getting.
I will say...
It hasn't happened already. Don't do it to me.
Sylvanas was locked in over Terra. Oh, no, she was banned. She was banned
Woo!
that game. Never
Oh,
mind,
thank God.
The Morrigan
Do I stop?
was locked in over Terra last game for the Titans Bolts. But admittedly, it was Paul and Venenu's Morrigan, so of course.
Fair enough.
And it had been banned, I think, that entire time. They're hovering Arachne right now. Yeah, I didn't expect to see that stay there too long. Cerberus gets locked in here for the Valkyries. It still could, you know what? Hey, I'm going to throw this out there. Zeus, Eset. I'm forgetting the third one. I got it. Nox. Still yet to be played so far this year.
No, we had a Nox game.
We had a Nox ban.
Ah.
We have not had Nox played yet. I have a separate list for bans. Agni,
Why am I
Amaterasu,
questioning you?
Anubis, Arachne, Bacchus, Kernanos, Chak, Charybdis, Hades, Yorm, Kumba, Mulan, Nuwa, Oleron. No, I have to take Oleron off this list. Thoth, Vulcan, and Xbalanque and Zeus have not been banned.
All right, fair
Why do
enough.
I have that? I got bored one day. That's really the only answer. It's the Sobek here, a popular pick for Raffer, and it's helped find success here for the Valkyries.
It has been. It's a nice, safe pick throughout the early game. CC immunity inside the ultimate, the ability to engage these fights. If the Valkyries were worried about their CC-light composition in Game 2, well, they've already cleaned that one up here in Game 3. Stygian Torment, Paralyzing Spit, the Pluck from Sobek, all going to be great tools to displace the Jade Dragons. But this composition from the Jade Dragons is already incredibly scary. Earthern Fury gets procced by Winds of Shamash literally every time. Soul's got great scaling into the late game, as well as flex potential, can go into the long lane or the center of the map. Either way, going to be shredding objectives, be that tower or neutral objectives, Gold Furies, Fire Giants.
Ooh.
You know, I've been a game early on all my predictions so far. I called Hunbot's last desk. Now
You
it's
did
getting picked
Gilgamesh,
up.
yeah, prior.
Yeah, just put me on a delay. production.
Yeah, Mifflin is our personal magic 8-ball, but he is unfortunately always 30 minutes too early for all predictions, which in most cases isn't a bad thing, but when it's live, doesn't quite line up the way you want it to.
No, not at all. But what should line up is this Valkyries draft.
Can you imagine having a conversation where I'm live, but you're delayed by 30 minutes?
And it like is cohesive anyway?
That'd be kind of nuts.
Yeah, I'm nuts like that. We'll set this up. I'll talk to
You
production.
know what? That's
after
actually
this.
a really good sentence because no matter what, I could hear you saying I'm nuts like that in any conversation.
All right, don't blow up my spot. I'm going to do some analysis, Score. Okay? I'm going to analyze, and you can't stop me. Neath banned out by the Jade Dragons, kind of saying that when the Valkyries are in a position like this with two Guardians, they generally do like to toss that Hunter towards mid, so a heads-up ban from the Order team here, whereas the Valkyries, Charybdis, and Nike taken off the table, meaning that we could see Terra flexed over into the Soul lane, or we just see Fine, okay, go for something a little bit different in his selection himself. Oleron, going to be the final ban for the Jade Dragons, another magical hunter taken off the table. But this is a pick I was not expecting to see this weekend in general. Cupid, something that we saw in the North American SCC that performed very well, specifically Wowie, had some great games on this god, but not something we see too often in the SPL.
Yeah, and this is actually something, well, never mind.
And
We
we will
don't even
not.
need to talk about it. Yeah, Hu Yi. You got to look at this. Hold on, guys. 14 games played, 7% win rate. That's the number that you got to look at.
What is that, one win?
I think it is exactly, yeah, one win. And hey, I'm going to spoil this. Pretty sure it was not the Valkyries who did that. They have gone to this a few times so far this phase, and it has not treated them very well. But admittedly, it hasn't treated anybody well. So it is not a pick that I admittedly have, I want to say, an endorsement for. Do you think it's going to do well so far now with an Wheelish on the other side against what the Dragons have?
Well, Wheelish does make it a little bit harder to perform on gods like Hou Yi, considering how telegraphed your leap is. This does generally shift up the Jade Dragons draft, though. Gilgamesh likely headed for the Soul lane, with Sam for Soccer taking the Wheelish into the jungle. But Hou Yi is a god that Emilito has played a fair bit this year. I think maybe even like 4 or 5 of those games of the 14 could have been Emilito. And he may not have found too many wins, but as far as success in lane, I think it's one of his better picks. He's been finding a couple solo kills. The balance has been looking good.
Yeah.
Your presence around these objectives is going to be phenomenal, just able to rain down some suns and slow down the opposition. And speaking of objectives, now you've got a traditional secure with Thoth.
Gilgamesh solo.
I like
A little bit more aggressive than I thought he would be. I mean, maybe it's because of the lane matchup that he decides that he's not going to be under that much pressure from the Cerberus, and he'd rather have the kill potential on his rotations, but a little surprised that we don't see the Warriors Axe for him. I mean, it's just so such an easy scaling option for you to have.
Will be a blink out of both of the supports. Raffer going back to the Sobek that's had some success for them in the past, usually when they've coupled it up with that Chunga with the Circuit. That was one of their winning try combos, but this time around, it's It's going to be Zeros on Thoth and Johnny on the Hun Bats that have seen, honestly, kind of mixed levels of success throughout the phase. We've seen some really big Hun Bats wins. We've also seen some really hard Hun Bats losses. And, well, maybe we're seeing a loss of his life here. Sam and Hurrywind very aggressive to start right out the gate. They get the beads out of both the mid and the jungle of the Valkyries.
Wow, they did get both beats, and Hurry still returning damage back. Mannequin Soul with full passive, unbeatable when you're trading autos early. Like, I don't know if there's a single character in the game that can out-trade her in the autos when she has mannequins and fully stacked passive at level 2. So definitely a good idea there for the Dragons to be the aggressors. Smart chase by them, and Johnny certainly needed to use the bees. I don't know, maybe Zero's got clipped by that feather step and just didn't have the option to get away.
Essentially, well, PBM does get plucked back right into the clutches of Emily to Polar Bear Mike, trying to juke for as much as he can, but he runs away from the minions and just delaying it, but he holds enough time out of combat to get the blink back up, and PBM, just like that, gets out of dodge.
That one hurts, I think, if you're the Valkyries, because that should have absolutely been first blood, but good juking by Mike, using the minions. Emilito does the right thing, tries to clear them out, but Raffer was busy zoning her or Panda Cat, which is a viable thing to be doing there.
Sam diving on Zeros, a quick dash away by the Thoth will make sure that he gets out of danger. Johnny's still throwing some shots right back at him, and it's Sam who comes up on the worst end of the trade. Quick reflexes out of Zeros to make sure he gets out of that fight.
Smart, because that would have been a kill if they interrupt that dash. He's got good options for this gravity surge.
And both of these teams know that they're there, but a sick little bounce by Emil actually clips both of them off that ricochet. He gets a nice little bit of poke fire right there at Panda and Polar Bear Mike. PVM will get the root on Raffer and the rocket. Out of Panda Cat, he's going in aggressive. Who's the target? A quick blink from Raffer. Expended to get away out of the rocket. Emil has the dive bomb to get out. So ult down by Panda Cat, but he does at least get a relic out of it.
Gets a relic out of it, but Mike has blinked him back up, and so he had blinked forward in order to be ready to follow up. So good blink away from Raffer. Doesn't do it in a straight line, because then it's very easy for Panda to just keep the chase going. Blinks off to the side where Panda can't chase him quite as easily.
Raffer wants the pluck, but just misses the leaf, and now that Johnny is here, PBM may be in danger. No beats to his name. A Fear No Evil shoves him back away and right into the clutches of Raffer and Emil. First blood in Game 3. This time goes over to the Valks.
A well-timed gank there from Johnny. He had just gotten his Jotuns up, so he gets 20% CDR. He's strong on this rotation, some of the longer cooldowns. So overall, like that idea from Ducky to try and go for the more aggressive trade. Don't be too scared to the trade blows right now, because he should have a slight advantage.
Hurrywin might be in danger here in the mid lane, and so is Johnny. A leap over, but Sam does not elect to pull the trigger and get him back, because the beads were used by Johnny preemptively to jump over that wall just so he can get away. In that mid lane, Hurrywin does manage to squeak by with the help of PBM, so he'll get to go back to base and get that Pythagrams picked up for his first item, then into the Druid Stone. Now, in the 1v1 of the Hunter matchup, Pandagat throws the rocket, but he's on the losing end of the trade as Emil and the minions plus the Sun are more than enough damage to handle Pandacat. And on the right side, it's Ducky with no ult and no life left. Sam rotates to the right and at least gets the Dragons on the board.
Man, good play, though, from Emilito on this left-hand side, is identifying that he is way stronger at this point in the game, because he went Crusher, Pandacat went for this Devo glove setup, and he just will not have nearly as much damage to try and contest. Really smart all in there from Emilito. Gets the beads, gets the ultimate, and I want to see Johnny over there punish this Hunter for not having his beads for 2 minutes. That's a big window, and it should be an easy kill for Hun Bats if he can close the gap.
Raffer really wants to get in to try and steal that red buff away.
Better for him to hit you than hit the wave, because if he's hitting you, then his 1 cooldown is reduced, so he can just hit the wave pretty soon anyways. So it's usually correct for him to be poking you out, and Soul has that built-in sustain that makes that a little bit less punishing.
Watch out, Sam. He'll leap over the wall and get the ultimate out of Emil. A blink in by Raffer is mean by the rocket instantly. And Raffer able to turn around and get one, and a Fear No Evil and no beads out of Pandacat means no escape. And that's going to be 2 more up on the board for the Valkyries off a great rotation from the jungler and the support.
And now you've got a real win condition for the Valkyries. You can just facilitate Emilito from this position, and he should be able to make it happen. Win condition.
I do have about a half level up for both of the members of that Valhalla Valkyries duo lane. Solo lane, it's a slight lead there for Fine OK, and now with, as you said, those 2 items online, specifically that Bulwark, makes it a little bit harder to really do much against them. So instead, it'll be Greater Scorpion by the Jade Dragons, and they're down about 400 gold, which isn't a whole lot considering the massive amount of kills that the Valkyries have been able to pick up here in these early stages. A 4 kill up to 1, Rapper gets a pluck against Sam. A Fear No Evil shoves him against the wall, and with nowhere to go, Zeros and Johnny put him down for another kill, but now it's Zeros in danger as Final K is dunking him in the mid lane, puts him down with the wins and the leap. Johnny trying to pick up Polar Bear Mike, but he's not going to grab it. Instead, it's a double kill for Final K, and Ducky's ultimate only does anything but watch out for the rocket from downtown. Panda Cat finds Ducky and Rapper. Rapper taunts it back in under, but PBM falls to Ducky under the tower. Right after that, it's Hurrywin grabbing Rapper.
Man, what a rotation in from Panda Cat. Knows he can't take the fight in left anymore, so I just won't be there. I'll simply fight elsewhere on the map, and joins this fight in mid at the perfect time. It was a great start to that fight for the Valkyries. I loved the way they started off that fight. I mean, it's a Fear No Evil over the wall from Johnny that pushes Sam into a tiny little corner, makes it easy for Zeros to pepper him with shots. I loved that play.
It's a 1v1 between Sam and Emil, and Hurry is being pushed away by Ducky. Now Panda Cat's got to come over. Ultimate out of Sam, gets the beads out of Emil. Hurrywin trying to block, but Ducky has the stun right after. Hurry trying to sustain through, but Panda Cat coming in with the cleanup 2 down for his team, but maybe he can at least make it a 2 for 2, fighting up against Ducky, body blocking the best he can, and PBM is here to secure the kill and at least put 2 for 2 on the trade.
Yeah, look at Mike's face. Kill secure is right. He just had a little chuckle
That's
after
all
the fact.
mine.
Yeah, that's his at the end of the day. Emil playing really well right now, man. Not panicking when Sam jumps on him, just drops the ultimate at his feet, forces Sam back, gets the kill for Ducky, but another kill that maybe should have gone Emilito's way, then is able to clean up Hurrywin after the fact. Valkyrie's left side looking strong, but a little bit of an unfortunate circumstance for Emilito that it's actually Panda Cat who does end up getting his shutdown kill.
Golden experience is only slightly up here for the Jade Dragons. Less than 1,000 experience, less than 1,000 gold. Separate these two teams here at 12 minutes, which is a lot compared to what we've seen the previous 2 games. I mean, at this point in game number 2, Dragons were up 3,000-4,000 gold. Game 1, they were up a couple thousand. Valkyries have been able to hold firm here in game number 3. And Hurrywin getting hit here in the mid by this root out of Zeros means that Zeros has no escape. And if Fear No Evil, it isn't going to be enough to save his life. Sam gets a knock up against Johnny and a double stun out of PBM plus the root. And Hurrywin returning fire with the autos, peppering them against Johnny and Rapper means that Sam gets to live to see another day.
But here comes Emil on a good rotation over. Hurry, no beads. Rapper misses the pluck. They needed that one.
The 180 to separate right around. The Suns drop. Johnny with the overhead smash and not enough sustain out of the mid laner to keep himself alive. But with Final K rotating over, the winds drop down and a drop kick against the wall. Emil's got nowhere left but to try and fight. But he cannot stop the might of Final K. PBM body blocks the pluck out of Rapper, and Final K continues his onslaught, but not for much longer. Rapper gets under the tier 1 to live.
That was a sick play from Mike that won't actually amount to anything, but he had the idea to make it happen. A good rotation from Emilito. I think he feels that he needs to put this lead elsewhere on the map and help transition it, and I think that he's right to have that instinct, but we just see the weakness of Thoth. For all of his strengths and his long-range damage, a pretty decent dash, a good ultimate, all that kind of stuff.
Over him, it's really only Johnny that's got any kind of lead here for the Valks.
Yeah, small lead for him as Sam has died a couple of times this game.
Oh,
what a bounce!
Sick bounce. The leaf may just be enough to get Panda Cat out of here, but Emil really going for those tricky ricochet shots. He'll at least be able to get some style points there. Getting Aegis away. Panda Cat under danger because Johnny's rotated over, and that's another bounce. That would have been enough to get that kill. It doesn't matter. Johnny at least grabs it. The Dragons go for the Pyromancer, and with the ultimate out of Hurrywin, that will secure it. And now Rapper's on the wrong side of the map. Ducky has to use beads to get away from Sam. Sam uses his own ultimate just to make sure to have that CC immunity. It'll be a nice little cleanup kill for Sam.
Yeah, that knockup immunity and that gravity surge makes it very difficult for Cerberus to peel you away, and Ducky losing the beads as well as his life doesn't feel great. But Johnny active on that left-hand side, doing exactly what I was hoping for, camping Emilito's lanes. If you can get beads for Sunbreaker every time, you feel really good about your potential in this lane. And I love the aggressiveness from Emilito. I mean, Panda Cat clearly paying him a lot more respect with that early beads. Doesn't wait to see if the ricochet hits, just assumes it will.
PBM plucked back. Hurry in the mid lane dealing with Ducky, but Hurry's doing just fine. His lifesteal's keeping him nice and tapped up, but a triple bounce out of Emil. Chunks away the health bar of PBM. A leap makes sure that the ultimate has to come out of the jungle to keep him in. Johnny in the backline, an ultimate from Ducky, and a supernova drop by Hurry just for the immunity. Now it's Emil in danger. He's got to sit all the way in the back. Final Judgment almost takes out Polar Bear Mike, living with under 20 health after that one hit. Rapper gets taunted back in by the Gorge out of Panda Cat, and that's going to be
Fear
the
No Evil.
turnaround to kill. Fear No Evil in the back line. Johnny does find Panda, gets the Aegis out of the Hunter, and now the Hunter's got his rocket back up. He'll throw it right at Johnny, and the damage plus Final K takes him out.
Fine, still not done. Going in underneath that Tier 1 tower. It's on its last legs, and Sam on the rotation over. Doesn't have the gravity surge, but does have the knock-up. Ducky not liking that one. You can see him.
He's not done. Emil down to half health, but Zeros with the root makes sure to hold him in place and set up for the Tier 1 or Tier 2 tower to go down. Jade Dragons on a tear here, 5,000 gold up over their opposition, and now no safety left for Zeros in the mid lane.
That's not a good look for him. It's just too easy to dive this off given that right opportunity.
Look back on, and it will be Emilitu getting a nice little rotation. The triple bounce against Mike hits him with
Nasty.
all those taps. Just absolutely disgusting
No
what some of
justice.
these 2U players can do.
Yeah, no justice that he doesn't end up getting that kill afterwards. But here's Panda Cat on the rotation in. Don't often see you fire off the rocket without hopping in, but in this instance did. That just a taunt out there right in the middle was huge.
PBM finds Ducky, stun against him. Some crits coming out of Panda Cat will force him away, but Final K dives in the backline, gets a drop kick just against Johnny. It's the 2v1, and Final K is taking these trades every day of the week. Beads to get away from the ultimate out of Johnny. The Bluestone ticks, not quite enough. Johnny does get to live yet again, but Zero's forced out of his beats on the stun out of Mike. He'll use the dash, but now that that dash is gone, there's nowhere left for him to go, and the onslaught of the Jade Dragons collapse on the mid laner, and Zeros goes down.
Yeah, it's just Thoth problems, man. Just what do? You just use the dash and then you're dead because you just don't have anything else after that. No CC immunity, no real CC in general. I mean, one root oftentimes isn't going to save your life, and the Jade Dragons right on back towards the objective.
Fire Giant started. Final K will push Emil against the wall and take another boxing match, but he's not winning this one, not yet. Sun's dropped down, but the rocket out of Panda Cat will hunt him down. He'll leap on top of Final K. Lifesteal is good, but not enough. Panda Cat throws out the Gorge to seal the deal. Ducky picks up a
Big
couple
ult.
with the ultimate in the backline, gets some beads, gets some abilities out. Hurrywin spots Johnny and tries to stop him from going in, but Fear No Evil not quite up just yet.
Panda Cat may have had a tough laning phase. Emilino may have gotten the better of him there, but right now it's Panda Cat just doing too much in these team fights. Just the CC from this Danzaburo, the kite potential in the 3, it's all come up huge for him in this game. And the one guy who doesn't have beads is PBM, and I don't know that you really want to toss him back to the team.
And you got Final K just running anywhere that he pleases, fighting anyone that he pleases on this Gilgamesh. Nearly fully 6 slotted, has gone and upgraded his Bluestone Pendant, so he's got a little bit of extra burn damage when he does jump into these initiations just like this one. Rapper kicked against the wall, knocked up by Sam, rooted in place, and just too much damage going his way. Rapper does not get to play this time around. Maybe neither does PBM as he gets hit by the triple bounce again. A Fear No Evil and a root hit from Zeros takes him out, but now Emil's the one in danger. Hurrywin picks him up with the basics right afterwards. Johnny on a sliver of health, and so is Zeros, but Final K will just walk him down, and Panda Cat will ride the rocket to victory.
Barrel stuffs him, and now Ducky trying to back. Actually still has the ultimate, and Panda Cat lives because that paralyzing spit did not land.
Ducky does not get to live, stuck under his own tower, and a double kill for Panda Cat, a double kill for Final K, and a deicide for the Jade Dragons. 9,000 gold up, and with the Fire Giant available, they're going to walk right up to it and take that objective.
Nice little Mike for 5 there for the Jade Dragons. He got a good ultimate off, and that's his job as a support. It's okay for him to fall after that, and that's going to open up an easy Fire Giant for the rest of this squad, and it just continues to be the Final K show here in game number 3. 8-0.
Final K rounds out his build with a Void Shield, just for a little bit of extra physical prot, some physical prot shred, and just a little bit of extra damage, because why not? If you're boxing everybody in the world, you might as well be able to do it just a little bit more efficiently. Root does hit against Zeros, but Zeros has already lost a quarter of his health. The drop kick takes about another quarter of that one away. The explosion of the Pridwin shield is continuing to whittle down this mid laner for even just existing in the same realm as Final K.
It was a really good beads there from Zeros. I don't know if a lot of players would have been able to reaction sound beads that drop kick that would have knocked a minion into him to stun him, but ends up trusting that it's going to land. It would have. That probably would have killed him if he didn't use it.
Phoenix under siege. Ducky goes in with a blink ult, but doesn't grab anybody to throw back. Instead, Sucking Rapper in danger, and a Fear No Evil dropped, and an ultimate out of Sam. Gets the beads from Johnny, but Final K is right there to close it out. Hurrywin gets the last hit, but Hurrywin's the one in danger now as Ducky dives in to pick him up. Emil in the sky tries to walk away, but Ducky gets CC chained out of existence as PBM picks up the last hit, and FineOK dives in the back line and kicks Raffer against the wall just so he can grab Emil.
He might be going for double digits here, but he's got to do it on zeros as Panda Cat took that one away. Looks like the Jade Dragons on the cusp now of sweeping the Valkyries.
And Zeros has a lot of work to do if he wants to defend against this Titan 4 of the Jade Dragons against the one lone Zeros, and it looks like he's not going to have enough damage to hold him off. No ultimate up and no abilities to save his life. The winds to zone him away. Jade Dragons take the clean sweep with a 3-0 set over the Valkyries.
Look, the Valkyries, they're playing with house money right now. You know, this is a team that struggled for the vast majority of the year, especially
Incredibly
in phase.
impressive, but it just felt like the Jade Dragons, once they did get their ball rolling, it did not stop, and it was generally around right here. They pull back the gold lead. They get a pretty significant team fight win on the back of a nice rotation from FineOK, and from there, they did not let off. There was moments where things started to look good, but it was Johnny blinking in, fighting multi-man ultimates, when unfortunately nobody else had burned beads up until that point. He loses his life, and the Jade Dragons. It just felt like team fight was a little bit more cohesive here. Aggro does a great job highlighting probably one of the most major tools that the Jade Dragons brought into this one, and it's the Earthern Fury plus Winds of Shamash. Just instant proccing that Earthen Fury every single time. It's just so hard to deal with.
We did get to see some really fun plays from the other side. Actually, a kill there for Zeros is always really nice, but we saw some troublesome plays there for Panda Cat early on in the lane. And one that actually stood out, I wish it, I thought of this prior. A really sick play from Mike where he was going to get first blooded, some nuts jukes, and then blinks away.
Yep.
Looked really good. That was just insane to watch what he was able to do. I was about to say that might have been game 2, and then I was like, no, that was definitely this one. It was a really good look for him. 7-3 and 8 there for Panda Cat, though. 3 of those deaths, unfortunate for him, but he still managed to make it look really good at the latter end. An undying game there for FineOK, and it just seems like all around the Dragons knew what they wanted to do today.
Yeah, just a lot of early aggression from the Jade Dragons in the first couple of games of this set, and I'm sure would have liked to have kept that trend rolling, but the Valkyries got off to an early lead. But the Jade Dragons are a team that is multifaceted and certainly capable from playing from behind, and do so magnificently here. Did you see Emilito's damage output, though,
coming on for the rest of the weekend? You just watched the Dragons and the Valks. Next up is the Scarabs and the Warriors. And depending on how the rest of their sets go in that group, this could end up determining who is 3rd or 4th in this group, depending, again, on whether or not the Scarabs can maybe pull some surprise upsets. Same thing for the Warriors, as they will play more next week. The Scarabs will be playing the Bolts tomorrow, so a lot of pressure on them, but this is a good win to start off for either of these teams, if they can find it. We'll be seeing that up next. And again, that's what matters most. You have to look at these group stages, and you have to remember top 3 is where you want to be. Already a good start for the Dragons, the Leviathans, the Titans over there in Group B, the Kings, the Valks, and the Bolts right now looking to try and find some wins and even things out. If you go 0-3, well, you're just out of there.
True. And just to reiterate your point about Group B, Solar Scarabs was the only Warriors coming up next. I think this is the single-handedly